Hello, everyone. It's Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Getting ready to have a little girl chat. Got two very, very dear friends of mine. First of all, welcome back, Miss London A. Morrison.
Hey.
If you guys remember her from the last discussion video, her introduction is too long to go through, sis. We can't go through all those credits.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. They don't have. You don't have to do. It's all right. They could Google me, boo.
All right, and I would like to introduce for the first time here on God, Sex, and Love, a Jackie of all trades, I call her. We got Miss Bridgette Stevens on the line today.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, ma'am, indeed. She's skilled in poetry to biology and everything in between. So yeah,
yes.
You might want
go, girl.
All right, ladies. Well, to get this girl chat going, I thought we would start with this topic right here, and it's called 5 Things I Learned from My Exes.
Can we just start with a little, I know some people last time had an issue with me dropping some curse words, but can we just start with letting people know that this is a judgment-free zone, as they can read that on the app. And so just because we're Christians having conversations doesn't mean we don't get real down to the nitty-gritty.
Well, I mean, there you go. I think that's good enough right there.
Awesome.
All right. So, I know that this subject can be a little with a grain of salt. Sometimes we might look back on our exes and think, oh God, why? Or, think negatively. So all of our things that we learn don't have to be negative. So let's just see, what have we learned thus far from our exes, ladies? Who wants to start?
London, you sound like you got a lot to say.
Girl. I'll just throw out one, and then you guys can tell me if you've had experience with this and what you think. Okay. So for me personally, I would say a lesson I've learned from one of my exes is to never date a man with children. And I say that for me personally because the experiences that I had were just not ones that I felt like were healthy. You have to deal with the kid's mom. If there's still some type of emotion or feeling there that she has for the man that you're dating, the drama, the financial needs that he has to, still be the person who's doing all these things for the kid and the mom, and that takes away from things that he could be doing with you in the relationship. So for me, that's something that I learned, and I'm just not comfortable ever putting myself back in that situation again.
That's funny. I had a coworker say the same exact thing. Now, I've never dated a man with kids.
See?
But I have friends that have, and I've had mixed reviews. And one lesson I learned from her experience is her fiance. Now he's her fiance now. He has I think 2 kids, and they're adult kids, like maybe 16 is the youngest and 21 being the oldest. But his ex-wife actually left him for another woman. And he has, my friend has no problems with the baby mama drama type situation, and he treats her like a queen. Okay. Literally like a queen. So I say all that to say, because we all talk about God, sex, and love. Sometimes when we say we'll never do something, God will send us exactly what we say we'll never do.
Wait a minute.
I know.
Uh-oh, watch out, London. Watch out.
Well, I'm okay though, because we know I'm in a very serious relationship, and my boyfriend has no kids and has never been married. So, and we're on our way to marriage. So I feel like I'm pretty safe in that area. But for me, it's just I want to be the first person to have a baby with my husband. It's not even just the drama. It's just that something that I've prayed and dreamed is that I want to be the first person to have a baby with my husband. I don't want that experience to be taken away from me because of something that he had in his, previous life. So thankfully right now I'm in a great relationship with the man who will probably be proposing before the end of the year, and he is the first person that I would want to, when I'm married, that I'd want to have a baby with. And I'm glad that he doesn't have any other kids. I just find that it's tricky. Like I come from a blended family, so it's like it gets really tricky when you start dating people with kids, especially if you already have your own.
I got you. I
That's
got
real.
you. I mean, yeah, I know, particularly for my friend, she's in I guess a medical issue where she can't have kids, so I guess it's kind of a blessing for her.
Okay.
But at the same time, she came from a divorce, and he came from a divorce, and then it's like, he treats her like the queen that we know we are. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, he came in, he straightened that crown up real quick and got her dusted off and said, "Take your throne, my queen, and let's roll, let's do this." So,
Yeah.
I it's just hard to say, like not to do it, because I get it, I've had friends that deal with the baby mama drama, and she got feelings still for him,
Yes,
and
it's stressful.
yeah, I get you, yeah.
Well, I've been blessed to not have to deal with the baby mama side of things. I mean, I think I did date somebody that had a kid or two. I think the most crazy situation, even though I didn't have to deal with the kids or deal with the the baby moms, but I think there was one point I dated this guy that might have had 6 kids.
Oh yes, I remember that guy. Girl, oh my goodness.
Okay.
That's
Probably the craziest situation. But I didn't have to deal, like, they were all in the state, so I never dealt with them, the family, or any of that. I mean, he was probably one of the craziest situations I was in, but it wasn't because of that. It was just because of him. And then I would say, like, my ex right before my now husband had a daughter, and I met her, and she was like, how old was she? 4 or 5, something like that, like 4 or 5 or something like that. But still, same thing. But didn't really deal with the baby mom. It wasn't any type of issue when it came to that. But I will say, it is a blessing to be married to someone that did not have any children and everything like that. And our son is our first, for both of us.
exactly.
That's
And
a
that's
blessing.
special for you.
That's a
Yes.
blessing.
Exactly.
Because I'm looking at just, society, the statistics, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm 35, and at 35, if I'm trying to find someone my age with no kids, that's gonna be like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
It's possible though, Bridgette.
It is possible. It is. It is very possible. So it's a blessing that both of you guys have found someone that don't have no extra baggage and things of that nature.
There's still some good ones out here, girl. There's still some ones that just was like they weren't ready and they were waiting for the right woman to make their wife. So you good, boo. He will find you.
Yes, I believe it.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I guess I will go ahead and say one then. I will just touch on what we were talking about last week. I learned that soul ties are real.
Yes, Lord.
Positive and negative. I mean, like I was saying last week, I have, now I'm noticing there's things about the way I deal with things now. I feel like some of that might have rubbed off on me from exes. And then now y'all know about that stuff we shouldn't be doing before you get married and all that. Well, you might find yourself thinking about that there, thinking about something else with you. You shouldn't be. So I'm like, oh Lord, I need to let this go. Hey husband, won't you come on and get my mind off this other stuff.
I hear that. Yeah, those soul ties are strong. They strong. Oh, they strong.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful out here, because it's y'all know I can get deep sometimes, so I'm gonna try not to get too deep. But
girl, get deep. We need to know. The people need to hear it.
It's like a hierarchy. Like, you sleep with one person, and that person has slept with one person, and that person is like a whole hierarchy of just
Yes,
all kinds of
girl.
spirits that you have now entangled up in your own spirit. And just to prepare yourself, it's this thing people will say, oh, I'm going to test drive. I want to test drive my man. Da, 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 da. But see, you know what? This is what I feel, is when you test drive, sometimes you like interrupt that process of God preparing you to be that wife or God preparing you to be
Yes.
that husband. So now that you've test driven, now everything that he's trying to, extract out of us, we've transferred it into that person, and now we going into this marriage with all kinds of soul ties that we didn't even have before we got, we got
Yes.
together. So yeah, it's soul ties are hard.
They are, and they're real, and they're damaging if they're not with your husband or your wife. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's it comes with a lot. It's not worth it in the end, like we were saying last week. It's just not worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I'm gonna add to the list of things that that I've learned from my ex, and that you're stronger than you think you are when you go through this stuff, because of course the temptation is gonna come back. Now I'm 35 again, and I am a virgin and proudly a virgin.
Yes, God
And
is good, girl.
Hey,
This
I
is
clap for
yes.
that.
Come on, y'all. Let's for one time for her. Clap it up.
Yes.
listen, and it literally shows you how strong you are, as opposed to, that particular guy I was talking to at the time. He couldn't handle it. He wasn't strong. He wasn't strong enough. And of course, he tempted. The enemy want to tempt you, and come on, just kiss me. Oh, let me touch you here. And then you find yourself again back at the soul ties, because now you done
Yes,
slipped up.
girl.
So it taught me that, hey, I'm much stronger than that.
Yeah.
Sometimes what we think is love, that's another one of my things. Sometimes we think it's love, is actually lust. And
It's
so,
lust. It ain't
mhm.
nothing but lust.
And so sometimes you have to, it teaches you how to distinguish between the two. So yeah.
Girl,
There you
yes.
go. That's good.
Let's
Next
see.
on you, Lundy.
Okay, so I would say another one that I feel that I have probably learned is never go backwards. My pastor said one time, like, when you go back into a relationship, it's like a dog eating its own throw up.
Yep.
So it's like, if something is over, if God has allowed that situation to, no longer be, you got to really like allow it to no longer be. And we do this backpedaling as women or as men, whomever, where we, break up with somebody and maybe a few weeks later or a few months later or a year later, oh, maybe they've changed. No, going backwards is a waste of your time. It just wraps you back up into some foolery that you had no business even being in the first place. So that's something that I've learned. But then I asked myself, have I really been practicing that? So of course I'm practicing it now because I'm in a healthy relationship that's leading to marriage. But for the years before this that I didn't practice, like, I have to figure out why did I keep going back to people who were not for me and who I knew they were not for me.
That's funny, because sometimes, when we tend to be in cycles like that, a lot of times it's like us not learning the lesson the first time.
Yes.
Like, we sometimes when we present it with the same test over and over again, it's because we keep failing it. And so it's good to not good to, but like when we do go through those hiccups, when we go retro and we keep finding ourselves in there, we got to find out how to break that cycle, and a lot of times that comes with going back to the soul ties. You just tied up, entangled up with that person, and spiritually you can't let them go. Spiritually, let them go. And it's so funny because a lot of people, and I'm gonna get real deep, talked about the whole R. Kelly thing, with a lot of the young ladies, and one thing that I heard that was consistent between all of the girls were, I tried to leave, I wanted to leave, but I couldn't. And I was reading a memoir by one of the young ladies who was a victim, and
Mhm.
she found out that there was a lady that was around that was supposed to be like their den mother that watched over them. She was a voodoo priestess. And so he was
Mm.
collecting their bodily fluids and having her to place curses on them that tied them together, not just
What
sexually,
in the
but
world?
spiritually. And people are like, well, why do they just don't leave? Why do they just don't leave? You don't know what kind of spirits are tied to these people and what they are actually doing. I had a friend that was dating a warlock. He was an actual like registered warlock. In some states, that's what they do. And literally, he had cursed her. And so a lot of times you have to know how to pray for yourself and pray over
Yeah.
yourself because you don't know what people are into. That's the one thing, I can say about what, when people start on those cycles, they try to leave and they come back, they try to leave, they come back. There's something else there spiritually. It might not be,
Yeah.
it might be like a curse. You don't know what these people are into. So yeah, it was like this girl, like, I found out that he was collecting our urine and taking it to her and having her pray over it and
Oh
encourage
my gosh.
her. And I was like, people don't understand it is much deeper than them just
Yeah.
stay around for the money or stay around for the sex. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's deep. It's real deep.
Wow.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this keep this conversation going in a way, but well, in the reverse kind of. Because I kind of wrote down that I didn't want a man that I could control. And I learned that he was like super nice. He was like great to me. He's probably one of the people I think about sometimes when I shouldn't be. um, because he was but this is God's love, right? Okay. This is where he was good at the things he was doing, and things. So, but at the same time too, he seemed very impressionable. Like I could have just told him to do this and do that, and I didn't like that. That was something I found that I didn't like. I was like, but now I'm with somebody so stubborn that I just can't get
Well,
to do
yeah, because
nothing.
I'm like, where's the fine line though? Because see, I don't control my boyfriend,
Yeah.
but if I say I want something, it gets done. Anything I want, I can have from him, and I actually like that. I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's a control thing. It's just like whatever baby wants, baby gets. So I guess there's like a fine
Mm.
line.
Yeah, I mean, well, different strokes for different folks. For me, I just was like, I don't want to feel like I can tell you to do this.
It's
You
a
know what I
it's
mean?
a it's a thin line between controlling and actually um being
Yes.
served as a
Yes.
queen that you are.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. I have a friend that she one of the things she said she learned from her marriage that she was in was that she wanted to control him so much, like if she didn't get what she want, you knew it, and she's a woman of God and she wanted to go to church, and they wasn't on the same level spiritually. She knew he had the potential. So a lot of times that passion for changing this guy to be on the same level as you can come off real controlling, and what it did was pushed him away more than it pulled him in to her, because now I'm your mother
Not your
and
mate.
not
Yeah, not
not
your
your wife.
helpmate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess that's where the difference between controlling. Am I controlling him, or is he giving me everything I need? He's spoiling me like the queen that I am. So like you're gonna have to like decipher that type of,
Yeah.
threshold. Like, okay, how am I coming off? Like, oh, you gonna do this, or I'm gonna tear the house
Yeah.
up, or whatever, and so you just kinda have to find out, where your intentions is, where your attitude is in it. Are you using him because he's nice? You see what I'm saying? So you have to see where your intentions are there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like I think the situation I'm thinking about in particular, like when I know I probably broke his little heart, or whatever, but at the same time, I didn't want to. I just felt like, okay, maybe because he was younger than me too, which I mean, my husband's younger than me, but either way, what I'm saying was he was significantly, I guess, younger than me, and I just kind of felt like he needed to get some more time to figure out the things that he wanted, and so I ended up letting him go. And because in my mind, I'm like, well, it's meant to be, it'll come back around, it's fine. But yeah, but that was just that particular relationship, you know. I think I
Yeah.
got a nice balance now. It's just I tease him about being stubborn.
Yeah, they all men are sometimes
The
stubborn,
opposite
child.
attract.
Even though I get whatever I want, my boyfriend is still stubborn and getting on my damn nerves. But whatever, he's
I hear
still
that.
stubborn. Still, he give me whatever. But yeah, he
They
still
have their
got his ways.
ways.
He's
They
still a
have their
man.
ways.
No matter how nice and how
Hmm.
queenly they treat
Yeah.
you, they still are a man. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you don't want to like, castricize them and like taking their
Definitely
masculinity
not.
away from them because you trying to shape them or you know because a lot of times now women we have this thing where we can see
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of potential in people and we want to pull the potential out of them. Oh, he can be a great man if he just get over his ex, or he'll be a great man
Mm-hmm.
if he get in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship with Christ. Or, but one thing I learned, this is my next one is unless he wants to heal, you
Yep.
can't do it for him. Unless he wants to change, you can't do it for him. And that's one thing I learned. Listen, I always see the good in people. I guess that's that Virgo in me. I always try to see the
Mm-hmm.
best in everybody and end up getting, the short
Mm.
end of the stick. But I have to also learn, like I always say this, the Harriet Tubman mentality when to turn a rifle on you. Like, okay, we're
Yeah.
not going back to
Yeah.
this. You know what I'm saying? And not allow me to get drugged back into this mentality of being hurt and in pain. So unless he wants to heal, you got to know that
Yep.
up front. Do you want to heal? You got to discern that. You got to see it because it's like yelling at a
Yeah.
stop sign to stop, and
Yep.
nothing's changing, nothing's happening because he don't want to heal. Some people are comfortable in
Yes,
chaos,
yes.
comfortable
I had
Right.
somebody
in their
like that, girl.
in their
I had somebody like that
yes,
before, and it's like
girl. And I'm
that's it. My point was going to be exactly what yours was. Never try to fix or save a man if he don't want to get himself together.
hmm
That listen, go ahead and exit, girl. Where is the red sign? Where is the
yep,
door? Let me get the heck up out of here.
yes. Let's go. Let's go. Let me
Yes.
run while I can.
I was just about to say, don't date for potential, but all that's wrapped up in all of that y'all just
Yep.
said.
Yep.
Falling in love with potential.
I mean, because honestly, at the end of the day, this is something else I think a lot of us forget, especially when we become wives and mothers. We forget about
Mm-hmm.
us and our happiness and what we want. And so never forget that, you have to see your way clear first. You have to make sure that you heal first. You have to make sure, because what we go through is not necessarily for
Mm-hmm.
us all the time. It's
Yeah.
for someone
Yeah.
else. You see what I'm saying? Hence why we're here having this conversation because now we can tell some other girl that's younger than us, like, okay, girl, it's about your
Yes.
happiness. Don't forget yourself. Don't step out of yourself. Still live like Miracle is a perfect example. She has got married, got a child, but she still pushed through to
Yes.
fulfill her dream. She didn't sit it on the back burner, and then 20 years down, Lord,
Girl,
shoulda,
because
coulda,
so many
woulda,
mothers are
baby.
like that. And I'm talking about like my own mother.
Yes,
I'm talking about like a lot of mamas
yes,
who didn't do what they wanted to do because they went ahead and got married and had a baby and they let themselves go. And that's devastating
yes.
to me.
Yes. And you just sitting at the house watching the kids day to day, folding clothes, cooking dinner, having sex when he ready. And now here it is. I should have wrote that book
Yes.
30 years ago. And now you're
Yes.
tired, or I should have started that business 20 years ago. And so never forget
Yes.
yourself, ladies. Never, never. Because you get so wrapped up
Yes.
in his life and trying to change trying to make sure he's happy till you lose your happiness and lose yourself and just forget your dreams and visions and all that
A lot
stuff.
of women
Yeah.
do that because the and I guess like in some households the man is the breadwinner. So the woman does
Yeah.
everything she
Yeah.
can to make sure the house is right and make sure the children are good and she supports him in his dreams and then forgets about herself. And I've seen many older women like that in my life and it makes me sad for them. Now I know that won't be me because I don't play those games. But I feel sad for like, my mom or other people who I feel like potentially didn't get to go and reach their full potential in their careers because they got married and had children and they just fell off.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
that
thankful
goes with
to, hmm?
what you say?
Now I was just gonna say I'm thankful to definitely have somebody that kind of pushes me to continue to do the things because that was something I was concerned about when I got pregnant. I was like, okay, what does this mean? Do I have to change careers now? What is this about to look
Mm-hmm.
like and everything like that? But anytime
Mm-hmm.
a mentor or him, they both, kind of just like, keep going, keep doing your thing. It's just, that's how, here I am still, going and trying to do my thing. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? And I always tell people, I work in the management industry where you deal with a team and conflict comes. And conflict, I tell people all the time, sometimes conflict does not yield a negative result. It's not always negative when you have a conflict because a lot of stuff you learn about yourself in this conflict. And so sometimes I say all that to say having an ex and taking time in between going to the next relationship teaches you how to be, like by yourself, being comfortable by yourself, being because that's where God can really talk to you, mold you, mend you so that you won't take that foolishness into your next relationship. So yes, I'm like Beyonce, the best thing I never had, sometime comes out, where I have, dusted off my cape or dusted off my crown, and I'm ready to get back in the ring, and I'm a better person than I was before. So that's another thing. Like solitude is okay. It's okay. If this relationship ends, it's okay. Ain't no sense of trying to cry over this guy because sometimes some doors just have to close.
Everyone is stuck at home, but life is still happening around us every day. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, and celebrations. Send your friends and family the gift of wine from the comforts of home. Wine shop at home with Miracle of Wine. Wine, gift baskets, wine accessories, and more at miracleofwine.com.
But I was just basically saying that, every conflict, isn't don't doesn't yield
Right.
negative results. Endings can be great. Endings can turn out to, give you that time of solitude to heal and, be mended back together from whatever
Right.
the situation is, so you won't go into the next relationship, the same person or, still hurt and, now you taking it out on the next guy, and so yeah,
Okay.
that's basically what I was saying.
I had
Hmm.
another one. Um, let's say. So I was gonna say acknowledge the red flags and take heed.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm
Oh, that was
sorry,
gonna be
love.
my
I'm
next
sorry.
one. It's okay. It was similar. It's just trust your
Yeah.
instincts,
Yeah.
y'all.
Because when you feel like
Trust
something
them.
is right or you see some red, like I've been in relationships where I saw some red flags at the beginning and I kind of just brushed them under the rug just to be like, because I was like, okay, well, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'm tripping. No, I wasn't tripping. That was the Holy Spirit telling me that this person was not appropriate for
Come
me.
on.
Mhm.
So it's about
Yes.
taking those red
Yes.
flags when you see them and again going to the nearest exit. Where is the door? I got to get out of here.
There's so
Gotta
much
go. Gotta
to
go.
who they are. Believe it.
Yes, that's a real thing. When some
Right.
what my granny say, I hear what you
Yes.
say, but I watch what you do. And that's the truth.
Dude, come on,
Oh,
Grandma. Yes. 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 Yes.
well,
Yes.
oh, go.
And that's exactly what I was gonna say. Just sometimes even
Mm-hmm.
in any friendship period, you have to recognize, you have to distinguish between discernment and paranoia. Because sometimes we be like
Yeah.
paranoid because of what we done been
Mhm.
through. But I've learned many times that first voice is so subtle, which is discernment. Like that's not the one, and it's not gonna even give you too many, excuses. And that's how I always distinguish between God's voice and the enemy's voice. Because the enemy, he's trying to sell you a dream or sell you, sell that decision to you where God's just gonna tell you in a nice little still voice like, "This not the one, baby," and leave it like that. And so just y'all follow y'all instincts out here. Stop sticking around thinking y'all it's gonna change. It's not. It's not.
All right. Well, I got one. Let's see. One of the main things I found out is what I wanted was not what I needed. Because I think
that's a good one.
Well, yeah. I mean, right before the hubby, I would say that person had a lot of what I wanted in a guy in regards to, I thought they were handsome. I felt like they were talented, passionate, all those great things. But yeah, it wasn't what I needed in regards to the long run, for the long haul, in regards to a husband, and then there's a lot of things that I think the type of guy I was kind of going for at the time, or I was kind of looking at those type of guys that was flashy or made themselves like stand out or whatever. My husband, he stands out, but it's not like he doesn't go out of his way to stand out. Like, it's just him, and that was one of those things I learned.
Yeah, I like that one, because, we be praying, we place value on stuff that God is trying to protect us from a lot of times. We place so much value, and that even in some, we be holding on to stuff that just, is bad for us. And I always remember that scene in one of Tyler Perry's plays where he says sometimes we be trying to hold on to seasonal people for a lifetime. And they're only draining us. It's similar to like if you want to grow a rose bush, every so often you have to go and cut off leaves that are pulling from the actual flourishing of that rose. And so, sometimes we have to we have to realize who our rocket boosters and who our rocket launchers are. You know, and people don't know the difference. A rocket booster only boosts you up to a certain altitude, and if it don't fall off, it's gonna pull you back down. And the rocket launchers are the ones that keeps you going past that altitude, past the atmosphere, so it can break through. So we have to know what that is, and I guess that'll lead me to my next step, or my next lesson that I learned is be in prayer, constant conversation with God, y'all. Constant conversation, because you need to know this stuff. You don't want to be placing value and holding on to stuff that God never intended for us to hold on to.
Talking good, Bridgette.
I got another one. If a man is not already doing something that you are looking for or hoping for him to do, don't expect him to do so later down the line. So, if he's not already going to church, let's not try to pretend and think like he's going to go to church later. Okay. If he's not already pulling the chair out and opening the door, let's not pretend like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we meet people's representatives, but I mean, at some point we see what's really going on. So if a person met you and they were doing XYZ, by the time the relationship flourishes and you marry them, they're going to be doing the same old thing. So it's like, you can't, because it goes back to the same thing of like not trying to fix somebody. So if a person is who they are at the beginning, you got to be ready to fully accept that. And if you can't, then that person is not for you.
Yeah, because I mean, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Then you lose yourself trying to push that person to
that
do
you want them,
what it is that you think.
No, and that's not happening. Right, they're not going to do it. So
Exactly. Here's another one I was thinking. I know we were talking about making sure that our happiness remains, but also we have to understand at what point do we need to make sure that we are compromising, because at some point there's going to be decisions that we have to make, not compromising our happiness for sake, not saying that, but just be open-minded. Don't be so closed-minded where nothing can get in or get out, but be open to things, because when you do that, you're limiting yourself, you limit the possibilities that can happen and how that relationship can flourish. So yeah,
Yeah.
be open, y'all. Just
Yeah.
open your mind.
Amen. Amen. And even with all of that, I think this kind of goes with like my current situation and also maybe my is I learned that perfection is a fairy tale. Um, because I feel like you know, I know that my husband is not perfect, but he is perfect for me.
Yeah.
When I think about overall picture,
Amen.
it's like, okay, you know, even like times when I'm down, he can like say the simplest things and lift me back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or times I'm trying to figure out, like maybe I'm freaking
Yeah.
out, trying to figure out this, that, and then there he is, you know. So like he's perfect for me, but he's never going to be perfect, and I'm never going to be perfect.
Right.
So I think get that type of. I think we kind of sometimes come into relationships with the idea of, and I'm saying myself too. I mean, I'm coming into the idea, came into the idea like, okay, everything's going to be this and that, and it's going to be perfect, and it's going to be this and that, you know. But it's never going to be perfect.
Right.
But it goes. What I
Yeah.
was saying too, like, you know, what is it? Can you not say deal with, but I mean, for lack of a better word to say right now, like you gotta, what can you compromise on, or what, you know, or what is it, what's your deal breakers or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's something to think when it comes to that, because
Yeah.
if you're gonna expect the guy to be perfect, or even yourself.
You just gotta communicate. That's another one. You got to learn to communicate. I'm one of those people, and I'm learning. Even at my age, I'm still learning. And I don't know if that comes with the trait of what they say Virgos are, but we just like to give chance after chance after chance, and we bottle
Girl,
up
y'all
so
bottle up
much.
so much, honey. Oh, girl, I had a
Oh,
lot of Virgo
girl,
exes. My daddy is a Virgo. I ain't got time for no Virgos. Girl, going out of here.
listen. And then when we snap, y'all like, where's this coming from? I told you the sky was blue last year, and you didn't. That and you like, whoa,
Girl,
wait.
I can't with the Virgos, child.
Oh,
Now, you know I'm a Virgo too now. Wait a minute.
Are you? Oh my goodness,
okay,
I
tell
didn't
her,
even know that.
a miracle.
Oh Lord, help me, Father.
Tell her. We have a tendency to just hold things in because we don't like confrontation,
That's true.
and it's just like we don't like confrontation. We try not to hurt people's feelings, but you know what? At the end of the day, I had to learn they'll be all right. But did you die? Because because I'm holding on to all this stuff. It's taking a toll on my body, my mental health. So I'm like, I have to learn how to communicate. So like even the small things, like last week, or a few hours ago, you said this and it hurt my feelings, babe. And talk about it. It might be something as simple as, I see you got gray hair coming in your head, and you take it to offense, but it's a small thing, but if you don't communicate it, he's not going to read your mind.
Yeah.
And then a year down the line, I remember when you said my hair was gray when we were driving down
Not
Main
driving
Street.
down
No,
Main Street.
like
I can't, Bridgette. I just ain't got time. I cannot with you right now.
we keep account of everything. These Virgos now. We was
Girl,
on
y'all
Main
keep
Street
account
at
of
3.
girl, please. That's why I will never date another Virgo a day in my life. My current boyfriend is I don't know what he is, something in October, and that is easy breezy for me. But them Virgos, my dad, girl, I had like a slew of Virgos for like the last 8 years. I was like, oh, never again. Never.
But we loyal. I'm gonna tell you one thing about us.
Y'all are loyal.
And
I try.
But if you mess it up with us, it's really hard to get back in our corner. And we're gonna give you a few chances. But after that, after you done had enough, that's it.
Girl, I cannot. I literally can't with you.
But yeah, just communicate. Virgos out there and listening, just communicate.
Please communicate.
No matter how.
Don't just not speak. Girl, I don't even, you know what? I ain't even gonna get going on this. I can't. I'm moving on. How about this one? Okay, so this is the last one I could think of. Never play second fiddle. Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
because
What you
go ahead,
what
Tim.
you mean?
Huh?
What you mean, like a side
Yeah,
chick? What
there
you
we
talking
go,
about?
boo. Never play
Oh,
a side chick. We're the number
oh.
one. You're the queen. You're the only one, or we not at all. You know, I
How
haven't
about
had.
Yep.
playing a side chick to work?
Huh?
I said, how about playing a side chick to work to his job?
Ooh,
No, no side chicks. I don't know what you're saying, Says. I'm confused, but no side chicks at all.
I feel
Like Bridgette know what I'm
like maybe he prioritizes his work.
Oh, his work is the side chick. Oh Lord. Well, girl, you know men do that. And even some women, you know, they were just talking about how Candy from Real Housewives is just working way too much and not spending any time with her family. So a lot of people let their jobs be the side chick, or their job is the real chick, and then the family is the side chick. And so that's not good either.
Yep. And I think that comes from, like in her case, Candy's case, coming from not having anything and not healed from it. Like, it's one of the things like, okay, you ever watch a show like Deal or No Deal, okay, and the deal is like 100,000, but you have a potential to get 1,000,000, and I'm just gonna take the 100,000. We kind of settle, and because we don't have anything, a lot of times we especially in the African American community, we come from nothing, and when we get something, we try to hold on to that something. So her something is I gotta, but that's another thing, y'all. Create balance. You have to have equilibrium in your life. Even to stand up on our own 2 feet. We can stand up on our own 2 feet, but scientifically, if our equilibrium is off in our ears, guess what? The room is going to be spinning, and we're going to be stumbling. So create some equilibrium in your life. Take some time out. You can't be. What you say?
What you say? What she say?
I said, come on with her science degree.
Oh,
girl, gone. I can't with you. Not a science degree, because she said equilibrium. Girl, bye. That is a normal word. She act like you said something. She act like you said some word nobody's ever heard of before. Get out of here.
That's that biologist coming out.
Listen, what we do. We have to have
equilibrium. Because if you don't have that, you're gonna have issues not only in your marriage and with your children, but with your job as well. You're gonna have issues all over your life. It's about balance.
Yep. Because you're gonna drop the ball somewhere. You're gonna die somewhere, and then it becomes a chaotic situation. I was telling some of my friends the other day, I was like, listen, I know we all have gifts, we all have talents, and sometimes we just can't use them all at once. There has to be a type of harmony there, so that it sounds great. One can't just sing whatever note they want to sing in the choir. They have to have some type of balance on notes and tones and things of that nature, because we get into the whirlwind of life, and even with this whole pandemic that's going on now, it's causing us to sit still and regain our balance, literally. We just on the go. We're on the go. We're on the go. I got this book I want to write. I got this play I want to put on. I got this I want to do over here. And guess what? It creates chaos. So something's going to be diluted, and I have no shade against my brother, Mr. Tyler Perry. But because he writes everything, it starts to be consistent, the storyline, or something is watered down. And no shade. I love him. I love what he's doing. But I watch all his shows, and they starting to correlate with each other.
Yeah. Well, because he's not willing to take any help, he wants to write and produce and do everything. But we have to know that God has given us a talent, but we also have to allow others to pour into us so that we can be the best.
When you do yesterday. I'm in school now. We had to do this thing called a SWOT analysis, where you evaluate your strength, your weaknesses, which is the internal, and then you have to evaluate your opportunities and your threats, which is your external factors. And when you find that stuff out, sometimes you realize that your weakness is really an
Yes.
opportunity. And then sometimes you realize that you can pair a strength with the weakness to balance it, basically
Yeah.
balance it out. So when you have a mentality like Mr. Tyler Perry, it tends to show your weaknesses, because now your weaknesses start to surface and become in the
Yeah.
forefront. And people are noticing it. Like that last movie, gosh, what's The Fall from Grace? I don't know if
We
y'all seen
saw
that,
it,
but
and as
that
two actors, we had a lot to say about it. Oh,
three
you're an
actors,
actress?
baby,
Okay. Well, as three
three.
actresses, we got a lot,
Told you,
girl.
Jackie.
We,
All right.
Three actors and a
girl,
makeup artist,
we,
and I was like, what is going on here?
girl, girl, girl. I'm just gonna keep saying, girl.
Good.
Girl,
I don't know where we went wrong, but something wasn't right.
something wasn't right. And like it gets so predictable because we know you're
Yes,
writing. If you add something else, add somebody else's element, add somebody else's point of view. We having this round table talk. We saying the same thing, but it's coming from
yes,
different views. You see what I'm saying? Different walks of life. So, I don't want to be
yes,
predictable. I
yes,
can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't be predictable. So like just see where somebody's strengths can, balance off your
yeah,
weaknesses. That's
yeah,
all. Something gets watered down and diluted, and you be like, really though. So yeah, I said all that to say, just get some equilibrium in y'all
yeah,
life.
yeah. You need it. Balance. It's called balance. Saves you
Yes.
quiet over there. You got nothing?
Oh no, well, I just had some final thoughts for the people because we winding down on the time.
Okay. Go
About
ahead, Miss London.
yes,
Me? I would just say, in terms of these exes and things that we learn from them, just like, you know what I do? I take notes every time I break up with somebody. I take notes. I write down everything about myself that I feel like I could have done better. And I almost interview these guys when I break up with them or we break up, and I say, okay, what exactly did you not care for, particularly in this relationship that came from me? And they tell me, I write it down, I ponder on it, I pray about it, and I ask myself and I ask God, is it something that I actually need to change? Then I go write down all the things that I did not particularly care for on their end. And then I make sure that those are things that are now non-negotiables for the next person. So I do this whole ordeal to keep myself from putting my emotions into another relationship that's just going to put me back in the same old, like we were saying, cycle. So I would encourage other people to do that. When you're in a relationship, when you out of one, write stuff down. Write down how you're feeling, how this person made you feel, how this breakup, what you could have done. Take responsibility of your, part of what you could have changed and done differently. And then just be whole. Like, be whole before you even get in these relationships, because when you're not, you're basically looking for somebody to complete you, and that's not what's supposed to happen. Your mate is supposed to complement you, not complete you.
Hey, that right there, that right there. I mean, I just was sitting here thinking also about like with the last relationship in particular, right before I met my husband. That one I was starting to feel very unfamiliar with myself in regards to like kind of dealt with him and the way I just put it like that. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. We can talk about that whole situation. But one thing that I had to do to help me in that situation was kind of like do something familiar. Something familiar for me was like keeping journals. At that time, I ended up kind of writing emails to myself about how I felt, because I was starting to feel like, am I going crazy? Like, am I in the same relationship as this person? Like, this person, like, everything is great, but I'm over here like everything ain't so great. Like, so I had to like, that was something that I did, and eventually, when it did get to that breaking point, sometimes I even go back, not necessarily a lot, but sometimes I go back and look at that to remind myself of like that person I was at that time. I mean, sometimes sometimes you gotta let somebody go, but then you gotta let them go at your time. I wouldn't say like be persuaded by other people or something like that. So I felt like I let him go at the time that I was supposed to let him go. But yeah, that was just something that I did to kind of help me, or that helped me eventually. So I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to say about exes. There's a lot to say about dating, and there's a lot to say about all of this. But at this time, I just want to say thank you to you ladies for this wonderful conversation. I hope that you guys had a great time, because I enjoyed you both, Miss Bridgette and Miss London. I'm looking forward to doing this again with you all one day.
Thank you for having us, love.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a good time.
Yes, honey. Yes. Girl talk.
We got to do this again then. Yes. So yes, here one time for the first girl talk on God, sex, and love. Find these ladies on their social medias and all that. But until next time, everyone have a great day.
All right, love. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.